All right, we're back. My name is Anthony Toon. I am a Walrus.
And I am Leanne Palmer, and I am your fairy for the afternoon.
All right, so one of the topics I wanted to talk about this week was the Oberlin College situation. Now, to give a quick background, Oberlin College in Ohio. There is a bakery. I believe it's just a little bit off campus. It might be on campus, but it doesn't really matter. It's this bakery. It's been there since 1880, something like that. And them and the college have always worked together. Well, a couple years back, some black kids, African American kids, the bakery had them arrested for shoplifting. Well, that kind of turned into a social justice activity. A lot of people in the college said that they were racially profiling. Now, of course, these kids actually did shoplift, and I read online in the final report, something like 60% of their loss through shoplifting was college students, which is not surprising. I mean, the college is right there, and college kids are dumb. Let's not lie.
And they will do whatever they have to because they're also poor.
That's true. But this escalated. It kind of turned. These students started protesting outside the bakery, started harassing the owners. Then, to make matters worse, some of the faculty assisted in this protest, and some of the faculty and some of the staff even encouraged this protest to go on. It was, and then some of the staff and some of the faculty were so terrified about speaking out because of how the students would behave. They were literally described in the leaked emails. They were literally described as preschoolers who would throw their food on the ground. So, this bakery sued Oberlin College for defamation, and they have received. The jury has recently awarded the bakery $44 million in reparations. There's something about the law in Ohio. They're only going to be able to get $33 million. I don't know exactly how that works. I hope they eventually get all $44 million. But I wanted to talk about it because it just reminded me of when I was in college and when I would try to speak out, and how many times things would get shoved down my throat that I knew wasn't true. And it kind of reminded me, thinking about race relations, they kept on saying, one of the mantras is diversity is our strength. Diversity is our strength. And I couldn't help but notice when I got to college. First thing I noticed, and it was such a huge difference from being in the military, being in the Navy. I went to college and I went to the I almost said mess halls, the cafeterias. All the black people would be in one table, all the Asians would be in another table, and all the whites would be on the other table, and all the Latinos and Mexicans would be on their own table. That was always fascinating because you'd have the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans on different tables, and they don't like each other. They don't.
I'm not going to argue that point.
But I'm sorry, did you have a point you would want to make? Okay.
No, I'm still just listening to you describe the situation because I hadn't heard about all of this before.
Yeah.
My question becomes, as you say that there were these emails leaked where the faculty were encouraging the protests.
And some of the faculty were just terrified.
And some of the faculty were terrified. Now, I would like to know if they were encouraging the protests as part of hey, this is an exercise in your civil rights, which I think would be a good thing. Or were they encouraging the protests in a different way, like we've seen in the news with the protests in California and Stanford and the Milo Yiannopoulos visits and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'd like to know is, was the college trying to do anything regarding the thefts that were happening at the bakery? Because if they were working with the bakery and because the bakery's on campus, campus security should have tried to assist before it got to that point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as far as way I understand it, is the official stance of the college was to assist these protests, and if one of the leaked emails was unleash the students, because they knew how the students would behave.
That sounds a lot more like what we saw in Stanford.
Yeah.
With some of the more conservative
Speakers
that were coming on campus at that point.
As far as, I would assume it was campus security who arrested the shoplifters to begin with. I honestly don't know. I'd have to look up the story again and really delve into it. What was your other question?
That was my other question.
Okay.
Was campus security helping them, or was the bakery just far enough off campus that they had to deal with
The local
police and local?
I'd have to look that up because I can't remember off the top of my head. It's either it's either on campus or it's right off campus. I can't remember. I'd have to look at the story
because the difference that I can see here is, and when I was in college, we could get a meal plan.
Yeah.
And there were different outlets around the campus where our meal plan was good. And if the bakery that you're referring to is one of those places where, like, the students could use their meal plan to get, like, a bagel and a cup of coffee or a croissant and some hot chocolate or whatever they wanted for breakfast in the morning, and have that count as one of their meals on their meal plan,
yeah, I honestly don't know.
Then they really should have been dealing with campus security, and there is no reason why the faculty should have been encouraging a protest. They should have been trying to do something to help the bakery stem the tide of the theft.
I don't know off the top of my head, but one of the points I was trying to make is that when I was talking about diversity can be a strength. You see, and there's even studies about this. One of the reasons why diversity works in groups like the military or a sports team, or I guess you have to have a common goal.
Right.
If you just say diversity is our strength, and then shove 10 people from different backgrounds together, most people are probably going to get along. But what's going to happen is they're going to find an enemy, whether that enemy is internal or external, because that's just how humans work. So what was I trying to say here? Diversity can be a strength, but it is not a strength without a conflict. And I think what a lot of these social justice people are doing unconsciously is they're constantly looking for enemies.
Right. they're looking for a conflict to pull the diversity together, but that doesn't necessarily work, because one of the things that I was watching a couple of days ago was about diversity and how it's not necessarily the strength that is being pushed, because you end up with, especially in larger cities and in larger numbers, you end up with pockets of like groups, like you were talking about in the cafeteria, only on a larger scale.
Yes.
And then there's no interaction between those, so nobody really feels like it's like, this is my neighborhood, but it's not my city.
Yes.
And that's where diversity becomes a non-strength or a weakness. And I think that's part of what the U.S. is going through.
Yes.
And what a lot of the populated areas in the U.S. are going through.
Yes, and it's almost, you hate to get into conspiracy theories, but it's almost like a lot of it's being done on purpose by not necessarily foreign powers, but by people who were influenced by Russian demoralization, and certainly by the Frankfurt School of Thought, philosophy-wise. I don't think they're sitting around twirling their mustaches. I just think they bought into a philosophy that is flawed at its most fundamental level. Yes. That's really all I had to say on the situation. Did you have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add. I kind of, threw in my questions and kind of what I would want to know before really making an actual opinion on the topic, because I don't know a whole lot about this particular situation in this particular event, to be able to know exactly where I would fall, where my stance would fall on it. But like I said, if the bakery was part of like the campus food program or whatever, then instead of encouraging the protests, they should have been trying to do something to help the bakeries stem the escalation of theft and the escalation of tensions.
Yes. Well, the faculty shouldn't have been involved either way, whether it was on campus or off campus, because, a couple of their students just went to a bakery and stole things. Doesn't matter what their race is or why they did it. Doesn't matter. It happened. So yes, like, comment, subscribe. Give us suggestions for new videos, because we'll talk about just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will.
Yes.
Don't forget to hit the notification button so that you are notified when we upload new videos. And remember that doing all of that for all of the creators that you watch and like or don't like on YouTube and other platforms, it helps all of us. It helps all the creators for you to like and subscribe and hit those notification buttons on any channel.
Alrighty. We'll see y'all later.
See you later.